Good evening. This is your evening briefing for Monday, the 20th of April, 2026. Today's stories span rising tensions near the Strait of Hormuz, new defence and development moves, and a range of Australian updates on protests, transport, safety and compliance, alongside human rights and aid efforts in South Sudan. And leading the briefing, the United States says it forcibly seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship near the Strait of Hormuz after repeated warnings from a Navy destroyer in the Gulf of Oman. The seizure comes as planned talks with Iran in Pakistan are in doubt, and the Strait carries roughly 20 million barrels a day of crude oil and petroleum products. Also in the briefing, Australian engineers at Port Wakefield have begun producing GMLRS missiles, the first time the munitions have been made outside the United States. The program is a collaboration with Lockheed Martin specialists and is meant to support Australia's HIMARS capability. Meanwhile, chaired by Asian Development Bank President Masato Kanda, the heads of multilateral development banks meeting in Washington agreed to deepen cooperation as global economic uncertainty continues. They plan to support private sector development, job creation, and new financing tools, while also launching Water Forward and expanding work on water systems, critical minerals, artificial intelligence, and procurement efficiency. In other developments, the UN Human Rights Commission in South Sudan is calling for an independent investigation after human remains were found during road construction in Jonglei State. The Commission says the sites must be secured and examined under forensic standards, warning they could involve combatants or civilians and may reveal a higher human cost from renewed violence around Akobo. Elsewhere, pro-Palestinian demonstrators in Brisbane say they will launch a constitutional challenge to Queensland's hate speech laws after arrests over protest slogans. 20 people were taken into custody over the weekend, with more arrests on Sunday after chants or signs included the banned phrases "from the river to the sea" and "globalise the intifada." Also today, NSW Fair Trading has re-inspected 628 service stations across the state over the past 2 weeks as part of a fuel price transparency crackdown. About 70% of the re-inspections were in Sydney, and a Penrith station was fined over mismatches on unleaded 91, Premium 95, Premium 98 and Premium Diesel, while repeat offenders could face court penalties of up to $110,000. Separately, Transport for New South Wales has recruited 17 drivers from New Zealand, with another 10 to 20 in the process to help ease bus cancellations on Sydney's northern beaches. The government says the area has struggled with housing costs, so the recruits are being offered airfare and 6 weeks of rent-free accommodation, while the wider Sydney driver shortage has fallen to 162. In other news, a 41-year-old Tweed Heads man has been refused bail after being charged over the alleged importation of 200 kilograms of cocaine. Police say a catamaran with its transponder turned off was intercepted in the Tweed River, where officers found the drugs in black duffel bags and $100,000 in cash, and he is due back in court on 12 June. Turning to another story, a 49-year-old man has died after a workplace incident at a residential property in Dural in Sydney's northwest. Police say he was delivering glass panes when several sheets collapsed on him, and a report will be prepared for the coroner. And finally, Save the Children and Vanuatu's Education Ministry are using horseback to deliver locally authored children's books to remote communities, including one trip that carried 59 books across mountains and rivers. The program aims to reach 56,000 primary school children, after data showed nearly 80% of Year 4 students are below minimum reading standards, and some of the books are designed to help children cope with the 2024 double earthquake. That is your evening briefing.